you were on Sky News, and I saw that, it was hilarious. You literally were on an interview with bacon on your collar.
Yeah, I wore bacon on Sky News, and they're like, why are you wearing bacon? They go, well, I believe it protects me from terrorists, and I've had 100% success rate so far. Muslim people are peaceful people despite Islam, not because of Islam. And the Middle Eastern people are some of the greatest warriors on this planet. Historically, there were the Babylonians, Assyrians, Hittites. They were culturally genocided by Islam. They still have slavery today.
That's right.
Yet the British Empire takes sole responsibility for slavery. What our first country that has a nuclear weapon, the first Muslim country that has a nuclear weapon will be the UK. So we have to stop it. I may be hung like a chipmunk, but I've got enough balls to fight Islam.
Like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notifications. Anytime I go live and make a video, let's get into this. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? We have another incredible interview. Ryan Williams, I met him at AmpFest yesterday. I could not believe the story that he told me. So I said, brother, I gotta have you in the studio. We have to talk about how you end up getting detained from going on, I think it was on Fox News or something, with bacon on his shirt, and just exercising what we call in America free speech. But y'all, welcome to the show. Incredible, talented, and one of the guys I had to interview, Ryan Williams. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. And also thank you for having a terrorist on your show, a suspected terrorist. This is what a terrorist in the UK looks like, and I'm being genuine. I was detained at Heathrow Airport in London for essentially posting about Islam, posting the truth about Islam, and that makes you a suspected terrorist in the UK, detained under Schedule 7, where they took all my stuff off me. So all my phones, laptops gone. And
and it stemmed from a interview you did. Was it on Fox or somewhere?
Yeah, so Sky News Australia.
Sky News Australia, okay.
This was a month before the Bondi Beach attack, where these Islamists just straight up murdered 15 Jews, or 15 Australians, some of them being Jews, because it was a Jewish holiday. Yeah. And it's just such a shame, because you just see how bad leftist governments in Australia, how badly they're screwing the people. They're just not doing anything about it. We have to speak out.
Freedom has never been free, and the cost is rising. That's why Patriot Mobile exists. For over 12 years, they've defended faith, family, and freedom while delivering premium coverage on all 3 major U.S. networks. Switch today and support the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and our heroes. Go to patriotmobile.com/Tatum or call 972-PATRIOT for a free month. Yeah, so you were on Sky News, and I saw that, it was hilarious. You literally were on an interview with bacon on your collar.
Yeah, it's
Ryan Williams, also known as Korean online and conservative political strategist.
Well, I mean, the reason I've got bacon on my shoulders is because the terrorists are a charming lot, and they threaten to behead me every single day. So a little bit of protection. But I've got to say, I'm from the UK. We have the threat nearly every single day from Islam invasion. Our second biggest city, Birmingham, is already majority Muslim. Our mayor of London is Muslim. And the new Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, is Muslim. And I just have a very clear, simple message to Muslims, which is stop worshipping a pedo warlord who's the Bonnie Blue of the 7th century, sleeping with 30 Al-Zouk men, who married a six-year-old and slept with a 9-year-old. And there's only one culture that pours acid on women's faces. There's only one culture that makes women cover their faces so other men don't rape them.
Yeah, well, and I think it's important. We do have to apologise for what was just aired, those comments earlier, but we're going to continue now.
So which one got you in trouble? What you said, or the bacon on the collar, or both?
Yeah, so it's basically my whole social media that got me in trouble with the British government. But yeah, I wore bacon on Sky News, and they're like, why are you wearing bacon? And I go, well, I believe it protects me from terrorists, and I've had 100% success rate so far. I've still got my head on my shoulders. So when that disappears, then the bacon doesn't work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my whole my whole shtick is that I say, I may be hung like a chipmunk, but I've got enough balls to fight Islam.
I love that. I want people to know a little bit more about you, because you were telling me about how you speak multiple languages. Tell us how you grew up. How did you get to this point, man? You telling me about other things that you've done in your career that you left to speak out for truth. I want to know it all. I want everybody to know everything. So let's start from the beginning, man. Where did you grow up? How did you get to the point that you're at today?
Well, my name is Ryan Williams, a very Korean name. You were saying there's a famous black player.
Yeah, I thought you was a black guy at first. I said, Ryan Williams, we a black guy coming in here.
And I said, I wish it was black. I wish it was a little bit black. I'd be black, white, and Asian. I'd be a panda, you know? Yeah. So I grew up in Scotland, Edinburgh. I don't sound very Scottish because one of the many vicissitudes of going to a private school means that you come out sounding like a posh English. So I went to St. Mary's Cathedral School. Now, here's a really cool fact. J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter, she's from Scotland, Edinburgh, and she based it on my school. So I went to Hogwarts, and I trained as a classical musician. Very terrorist-like, I know. You know, typical classical musician strapping bombs on children. So yeah, I trained as a classical musician, and essentially it's a language. So I've always been fond of languages. We've got decent memory. You know, we have to train our memory a lot in classical music because, you know, we're playing symphonies by memory. And I found languages very inspiring and interesting. So I studied 5 languages. You know, I started off with Korean, obviously from my mother. And then I, you know, learned English. And then not very well, you know, obviously. I need to train my English a little bit more.
Dude, you sound perfect. Your English is better than mine.
Well, I wish I sounded more Scottish, but, you know, I can't have this face and be like, all right, pal, pure didn't care what you're saying. Pure terrorists trying to behead me, you know. It doesn't sound good on my face. So, yeah, I studied Russian, German, and Arabic. I was like, what is this funny pigtail-looking language? You know, it kind of looks like pigtails.
Yeah.
So, as I studied it, I accidentally became a Muslim. You know, because if you say the Shahada, if you say, Ashhadu ilaha illallah, wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah 3 times, you become a Muslim.
Is that true?
Yeah, you just boom, you just become a Muslim. Not the boom part, that's a bit later. If you go too far, you know, so, yeah, you know, obviously, you know, I'm a Christian and, well, culturally Christian. I always say, you know, I'm a pretty bad Christian because, you know, the first rule is love thy neighbor. And I just say I can't love a neighbor who worships a, you know. Yeah. It's in a Hadith 5134. I actually read the Quran. I actually study the Hadiths. And Hadith 5134 is crazy that Prophet Muhammad married Aisha when she was 6 years old and has sex with her when she was 9 years old.
That's crazy.
And then furthermore, he has sex slaves, which is still being practiced throughout parts of Iraq, Mosul, Afghanistan, places around the world. It's crazy that slavery still exists today, which is why we must speak out.
When you say these things to people, what's their response? Well, I mean, you know, the Muslim people that you say in the Hadith, whatever, what is, you know, that Muhammad was married to a child and had sex with her when she was 9. What do they say? They deny it, or they try to explain it?
It's Muslim apologetism, basically, right? Apologetics, sorry. So they excuse it. They're like, oh, well, it was different at the time, you know, and it's like, well, no, well, then don't worship him. Don't worship a warlord who had 83 wars of conquest. The Middle Eastern people are people I actually support. Ex-Muslims are brilliant people. You know, there's a huge exodus of Muslims leaving the religion, and they do it with apostate rule, which is you get killed if you leave Islam. That's how desperate these people are to leave Islam. And I always say, Muslim people are peaceful people despite Islam, not because of Islam. And the Middle Eastern people are some of the greatest warriors on this planet. Historically, there are the Babylonians, Assyrians, Hittites. They were culturally genocided by Islam. Islam is a new religion that never existed until 720 AD. So before, there were Coptic Christians, there were Zoroastrians, they were Jewish people. They were all genocided, pretty much. Look at Iran. You know, Zoroastrians created algebra. These are Middle Eastern great people with the libraries of Alexandria, hanging gardens of Babylon. And what happened when Islam came over? Their ancestors fought to the death. And we need to remind the Middle Eastern people how beautiful they were, how much color, how much beauty, how much freedoms that their women actually had. Look at their dress codes that they used to have, their traditional attire, full of culture, colors, beautiful. And what do they have now? Letterboxes. These burqas, these, I call them letterboxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just strip them of all culture.
Yeah.
And these poor women, I mean, it's the only culture that I know that is so that they hate their woman.
Right.
That
right.
they have to cover up their, I mean, it's simply a religion.
It's funny you say that because it's a guy I will not name, was just out there in the Middle East, I think in Saudi Arabia or somewhere, and he had expressed to me, he said, when he came back to the States, he said, dude, it was weird.
Yeah.
You don't see any women. I'm not sure if it was Saudi Arabia. It was one of those Middle Eastern countries. You don't see any women. They're like tucked away. And then they're like, their identity is disappeared from society. Like they're not even, you don't see them. They don't have any, nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then all the guys do is they hate the women and they just hang around other guys all day. It's the gayest thing ever.
It is the gayest thing ever. This is why we need to make sure that we're speaking we need to bring Christian values back. The fact is that not only do they hate women, they are extremely gay. They have a concept called bazi. They make little boys dance around for these warlords, right? And it's unbelievable. They have prostitution all over the place, but you can't sleep with a woman if you're not married to her. So you've got these imams outside that will marry you for 24 hours outside these brothels. It's just a mind-numbing, it's a waste of our time. Why do we have suicidal empathy to allow this religion to still exist and oppress people? Here's a fun fact. Pornhub came out with data to say that the most searched term country is Muslim Pakistan.
Really?
And then is Saudi Arabia. Then is Oman. And then the list just goes on. It's just hilarious. Obviously, being, sign of love. I don't care. But if you oppress your people so much that your entire country is being called out by Pornhub going, what's going on? Then I would have a second look at yourself.
Yeah, it's because that's not the way God designed us. We are not supposed to treat women that way.
Yeah.
Men are not supposed to be isolated, like you've seen, and nothing against the Catholic Church, but I think in ways that priests are isolated from marriage and intimacy with women is why you see some of them going after young boys. Because when you have that sexual oppression, you begin to lash out. And so when you have men who can only be with women if they're married or, in some weird arranged situation, and then women are oppressed where you can't see them, they have no value. These guys end up using other men for sexual intercourse because their religion is so strict about women. And you cannot show me a religion or a practice that's against what Jesus taught and that it flourishes. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I mean, Asians, I guess we're Buddhists. It's not too bad. We just worship the booty. But, I'm interested in dating, right? Because, as a bullied, fat, chubby Asian kid, my prospects were not great. I saw you black athletes doing very well. But we're not natural athletes. Let's just put it that way. We're better at the maths and, the cello. But, I've done okay in life. Thank God that I've had a really blessed life, and I happen to be 6'3" as an Asian guy. Girls are always like, "You're really tall for an Asian." It's always for an Asian. They never say that to you, right? But I've done things like Love Is Blind, Netflix, and it really kind of taught me to look more into kind of dating. And then I looked at Islamic dating. Really odd. It's the only culture that allows for inbreeding.
Really?
To have with your first cousin. So 65% of British Pakistanis are inbred with their first cousin. This is a national healthcare study.
First cousin?
With a Bradford study. The NHS of the UK did a study, which is a non-political entity. It's our most prized, valuable organization. The #1 employer in the UK. Actually, I think actually in the world. It's the NHS. I think it's top 3. Anyway, they concluded with a study that over 60% of British Pakistanis are inbred with their first cousin, which means that you have a 400% more likely chance of having a baby who's got an IQ of under 70. Now, if you look at these inbred countries like Somalia, if you have a country with an IQ of under 90, your civilization is unable to produce or yield any innovative new technology for humanity.
Really?
If we think about that, what are we dealing with? What are we importing? Right? We should be exporting our culture to them, not the other way around.
Right. That's very interesting. I wonder spiritually the wickedness of man created or allowed these things to happen so they can control. Because if you are not inbred as a leader,
Yeah.
your lineage and family IQ is way up here,
Yes.
and you let everyone else inbreed, they're more susceptible for you to tell them to put a bomb on them and go blow themselves up. They're more susceptible to do whatever you tell them to do. They don't have any reasoning or cognitive ways to, I guess, think through what the religion is really saying to them.
That is bang on. That is absolutely superbly bang on. Now, when you kind of think about this, if you're a low IQ inbred, what are your chances of getting a woman? Because women, they're hypergamous. They look for men who do well in life. So us as men, we have to be competitive, right? We have to be better. We have to be stronger. We have to be more smart. We have to be, richer. We have to be economically valuable, right? But if you're inbred, the only kind of women that you can get are the ones who have no rights whatsoever. That's why they take away the rights of these women, put them in letterboxes, stuff them at home so no other men can look at them, that they have no other choice. They have never ever seen a decent man or had a good male figure in their life and go, this is all I can get. And they're turned into baby factories. And now this is what we're dealing with in war. We are in war, and the war has changed. They cannot beat us with bullets and bombs. They can only weaponize fertility and ovaries. They will outbreed us. This is in their jihad and dawah. This is in their text to outbreed us. Now, what are we going to do about this? This is absolutely intense. And I say this very simply. We are at war. There is a version of crusades that's going to happen, I believe. And we need to stop our suicidal empathy towards these people. They only exist. This religion only exists because we allow it to exist. The East and West are completely united in thinking Islam is humanity's greatest disgrace and it's a mental illness. And we have all the technology, power, intellect, innovation to completely destroy this Middle Eastern religion. We're on either side. We could completely this religion anytime we want. We're just choosing not to do it.
I wonder why. What is, you mentioned suicidal empathy. Can you explain that a little further? Because I almost think that we are suicidally empathetic about a lot of stuff. And transgenderism is one, all this other stuff. But explain that a little bit more, like expound upon that or expand on that when you talk about how the effects of our suicidal empathy is impacting the way we deal with a dangerous religion. Like what is that? How is that suicidal to us? Can you explain it?
I would put it all down to our lack of understanding of violence. I look at you. You're one of the kindest individuals that probably anybody will ever meet. The most loyal to their family and friends, but it's because you're capable of violence. You're capable of standing up for them whenever. You give them your word that you will protect your family. That means something because you're able to actually stand up. You will not lay a finger on, you never hurt a butterfly, but if anybody tried to harm anybody, you'd be the first one in there.
True.
With full-on force. I mean, I'm just kind of, it's just all conjecture, obviously. But I would say that we don't understand as human beings violence. And we need to be more capable of we need to be willing to die for our values. It's gone. You know, people kind of live such comfortable lives. They're kind of like, oh, you know, I would love to fight for this, but you know, I'm kind of more thinking about what I'm going to eat for dinner tonight. You know, I don't want to get off my comfy sofa. I want to watch TV and you know just get mind washed by Netflix and you know honestly the bull nonsense that's on there. We're just too comfortable. And Christians are a beautiful religion, and it's all about love thy neighbor. But there was a time where Christians really stood up to Islam. Austria almost became Islam, almost became Islamic. The Polish has sent chariots with wings and like screaming eagles, like coming down and rescued Austria from becoming Muslim. North Spain was Muslim. So we have come close to becoming a Muslim, you know, Europe becoming Muslim. But it was only with violence that it was repelled. So I always say this, make Christians violent again.
Yeah. I love that because, and for the people who are I want to say, but I don't want to say that today, but
it's true though.
For people who are, and they don't understand what you mean, and they take it out of reasonableness and context, because we do need to be more capable of violence.
Yeah.
You know, the Apostle Peter, whom Jesus gave him the keys to the church. He started the first church. Apostle Peter was the beginning of the church here on earth. And he was very capable of violence to the point when they tried to arrest Jesus and he cut off the soldier's ear and Jesus put his ear back on and just told Peter, he didn't tell Peter to put his weapons down. He didn't tell, and you got to think, Peter had been carrying his weapons everywhere they went.
Yeah.
He just told Peter, this is not the time.
Yeah.
He didn't say you'd be a coward and not be capable of it. And there will be a point in time when Christ comes back that he's not the lamb anymore, he'll be the lion.
Yes.
And he was on the horse with blood and all this gory war that Christ is going to come back and dominate. And so it's not that we have to be pacifists and we have to be weak. It's that we have to know when we need to strike and when we shouldn't. And you make an incredible point because there will become a point in time that we're going to have to use violence against a takeover because these people are trying to take us over. They're not trying to assimilate. They're not trying to be a part of American culture. They want to turn us into jihad or whatever. They want to turn us into Sharia following individuals, and we're supposed to be a part of their religions. And they want to get rid of our religion. They don't want to live peacefully with us. And we see that happening in the Middle East. We see that happening against Israel because the Jewish people are trying to exist and the Muslims want them to be completely killed from the river to the sea.
Yeah.
They don't want to live amongst them. They don't want a two-state solution. They want them to completely be killed.
Peace through strength. You nailed it. I think this has got to be said over and over again. I see Christians in Nigeria being murdered. And guess what? I'm seeing these Christian priests in Nigeria take up arms. And I'm going to defend, as a shepherd, I'm going to defend my flock. And it's beautiful to see. And this is what I say to Islam. Islam are cowards. You guys are absolute cowards. They pick on 16 million Jews. This is a tiny little population compared to 2.2 billion people. They pick on white people. Well, guess what? There's billions of Asians and there's billions of blacks. And we need to unite. Stop picking on white people. They're an endangered species. There's more Indians in India than white people all across the world. Stop picking on a tiny little endangered species. Come after Asians and blacks. Imagine if they declare war on China. Imagine if we teamed up. Team Blasians teamed up against Islam. It would be a 6-day war. It'd be gone. They'd be destroyed. We will not have suicidal empathy. We will make sure this is the last crusades.
I love that you said that because people don't understand the context of what you said. Africa is the biggest continent in the world.
Yeah.
There are more African black people in the world than just about anybody else, probably second to Asian. And that amount of population, if they were to consolidate and come together as one force, it would be, that's the biggest population in the world. India, Africa, and Asia, or at least in China. That's the biggest populations, if you put them all together, than any other population in the world. And so you make an incredible point. I just don't know when people are going to be willing to turn that switch and say, I'm done with Islamic slavery in Africa, with the killing of Christians in Africa, the killing and slaughter of innocent people all over the world. They would kill all the Jews, but they can't. They would come and kill all Americans, but they can't. They're trying to find a way to manipulate their way into systems because they can't beat us with violence. So if they can manipulate their way into becoming governors and taking power and implementing Sharia law where they can, that's how they win. It's not but brute force. We'll wipe them out. America will wipe out every Islamic state in, I don't know, give us a week or two. We'll wipe them all out, to be quite honest. So they know they can't beat us in a battle like that. They have to go to Dearborn, Michigan, and other places to infiltrate, and they get enough population.
New York now with Mandami.
Yeah, they got Muslim people leading major parts of our country.
And moderate. I'd say this about moderate Muslims: extremist Islamists. So extremist Muslims are the snake, and moderate Muslims are the grass that hides the snake.
Really?
So another way to kind of think about it is an extremist Muslim will cut your head off, but a moderate Muslim will say, "I won't cut your head off, but I'll let him do it."
Right.
So, yeah.
You know why that's a really legitimate point is because I trained a guy when I was a cop. He was an SRO, which is, they're not cops, they kind of assist cops, but sometimes we have to train them to do their job or whatever. So I was training one of them. He's a Muslim, very nice guy, very cool guy to me. I mean, he's always friendly and whatever. And I asked him about the infidel. I said, what is the like? What do you think am I the infidel? He literally told me, yes, you are, but we're not in wartime. And so if we're in peacetime, we don't have conflict.
Yeah.
But if we are in wartime, you are the infidel.
Yeah.
Because you're not Muslim. And I said, that's the example of the grass. Because a person like that gives leeway and gives credence to the person that thinks we're in war right now. And they will be the ones that get you set up to be killed. I want to touch on something real quick that we circled on a little bit, but we didn't get to go into. And that is, you had mentioned to me all that you had to give up to speak the truth. The whole story around you going on Sky News and how all that started. And you told me something that inspired me. And pretty much, I'm going to let you say it, but it's your story about how you gave up this to pursue this because you couldn't live with yourself if you didn't. Can you explain that?
Yeah. So since the age of 6, I trained as a cellist, a classical cellist, and I did BBC Young Musician of the Year. And I was just a typical Asian kid, you know. My mum would beat me, you know, like, no food until you've done your 6 hours of practice. Very good mum, you know.
I mean, is that real? She really did that?
I had to practice a lot. And, you know, I was at a boarding school, a specialist music school. You know, we did about 6 to 7 hours of practice a day.
Wow.
So, you know, I was a cellist and I love music. And this is another thing. Islam doesn't like music. You know, they don't also like dogs. They don't allow for dogs.
Really?
And I'm Korean. I love dogs. Delicious.
I knew you were going there. I knew it. Okay. I didn't want to be racist and suggest it, so I knew
it's okay. I mean, we're Team Blasians. You know, we're in this war together.
Yes, that's right.
You know, China is not the most populous country in the world anymore. It's India. And then after India, the most populous country will be the Nigerians.
I think so.
Yeah, in the future.
Really?
So, yeah, so Team Blasians, it's going to be a thing. We're going to end Islam together, brother. Brotherly love. Between our great, you know, races. But here we go. So I was a cellist, and I quit it to go into law school. And then I went to law school and I was like, oh, no. I actually do enjoy music a lot. But it wasn't the right type of music. I love classical music, but I needed something more. So I started producing techno. and started mixing like techno beats to like live cello, just jamming out. It just became a thing, and gradually, I became a K-pop cellist, which I'm sure you'll see here. You know.
Yeah, we'll post it
Yeah.
for you guys.
And it's good fun, you know, just playing to big stadiums. And there's a concept called media domination in Korea. We're a small country, and we try and make sure that we're number one in culture, you know, across the world. You know, because we have to export culture. So you know, we've got our neighbors, the Japanese neighbors. You know, this Pikachu and Pokemon nonsense. You know, we're like, nah. We're going to come at it with K-pop, K-dramas, K-film, and K-food, K-skincare. And we do well. We're number one on Netflix. You know, a Korean company bought Justin Bieber's company and Ariana Grande's company.
Wow.
You know, they dominate in media. If you go to Indonesia, Philippines, even India, you know, or across America, Netflix. Korean culture, right there. We're a tiny little country, you know, and we're beating out Japan on brands like, you know, do you hear of Mitsubishi or Toshiba? It's Samsung, LG, it's Hyundai, you know, Kia Motor. It's just like Koreans are doing well, right? Because we're not inbred. So it's you know, the Muslim religion, the biggest Muslim country in the world is Indonesia. So we see this and we're like, oh, we need to do something about this. So through media domination, I learned a lot of skills, and I slowly became uncomfortable with my lifestyle because I don't drink, I don't party. I'm just your nerdy Asian kid who just wants to read books, listen to podcasts, you know, listen to your podcast, listen to Chris Williamson. You know, I that's what I enjoy. I don't enjoy going out. You know, I don't enjoy the frivolous lifestyle. I don't even drink coffee or tea. You know. Mainly keto diet, you know. Mainly, I do love ice cream though. That's my kind of fall. I mean, and sticky toffee pudding. If you ever go to the UK, I'll treat you to sticky toffee pudding.
Let's do it.
And they're making fun of British food, but listen, British food is world class. I'll prove it to you. Go to any 5-star hotel across the world. What do you get? The British breakfast.
Is that right?
Yeah, if you get a continental cold breakfast, you're gonna like, what's this? You know, bits of cheese and, you know, fruit. Right. You want your baked beans. You want your, you know, you want your black pudding. You want your bacon. You know, bacon and eggs. That's what you want in the morning. So I felt this deep hole inside me, and it comes from being ultimately Korean, South Korean, without the West. And the Korean War, and them fighting for us in World War II, I'd be speaking Pikachu, Hello Kitty, Itadakamasu language, Japanese, right? Korea wouldn't exist without the West. 37,000 American soldiers died fighting for the Koreans, for the Korean War. And now you have South Korea, which gives you all this culture. So thank you very much. Thank you very much to those soldiers. It's called a forgotten war. The Korean War is called a forgotten war. I haven't forgotten. Us Koreans haven't forgotten. We love you. We will never forget. And just thank you for your sacrifice. Over 1,000 British soldiers gave their lives on a foreign land, fighting for democracy, fighting for our freedom. And without the West, where would we be? Where would we be without Enlightenment values? Even the British Empire, so heavily villainized for slavery. Well, guess what? The Arab Empire traded more slaves, and for longer. They traded slaves for 1,400 years. And guess what? They still have slavery today.
That's right.
Yet the British Empire takes sole responsibility for slavery. Well, the only reason we don't have slavery in some countries today is because in 1807, William Wilberforce, a Christian man, and Christian philosophy and jurisprudence said, we can't accept slavery. This is not right under God. All humans are godly beings made by God, and we're equal. Therefore, how can we be trading slaves?
Right.
Furthermore, the British Empire went even further. They said, not only will we not have slavery, we will stop others from having slavery. So the British Armada, the British fleet, the greatest, most beautiful prize fleet in the world at the time, they sent out a suicide mission to fight the Portuguese, French, Spanish, and the Arabic empires. Can you imagine the British sailors going up against, the Spanish Armada? Unbelievable at the time. Huge armadas at the time. They cannibalized their own fleet and sacrificed blood to stop slavery. And thank you. Just let's be grateful. Slavery was practiced all over the world. Everybody did slavery. But there's only one culture that stopped slavery. And that is the British Empire. So this is why I fight for the UK. This is why I said, no matter what, I will not see the downfall of the UK and not do something about it. The downfall of the UK has become a reality show for the rest of the world. Well, for you, this is the UK. They're some of the greatest people in the world who brought you Christianity, who did the original Crusades, who saved Europe from being Islamic. These are the greatest people in the world. They've gone through World War I and World War II. They've been through hell of a lot more pickle before this. And they've out-innovated and they've gone through it. And they've come out the other side winning. And guess what? America, one of the great products of the British Empire, to be honest. I know you guys fought, but, shared values and culture, democracy, such a beautiful alliance today. Well, not anymore. Because Shabana Mahmood, Home Secretary, does that sound British to you? Shabana Mahmood.
No.
Yeah, she's in charge of MI5, MI6, and political oversight of the police. No wonder 12,000 people, British people, are being jailed today for tweets.
Right, and it happened to you.
They detained me for terrorism.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because you got detained in the airport. That's where we started. Like, what happened with that?
Yeah, so I did my Sky News in Australia, right? And I said, there are 50 Muslim countries around the world. Why would you move to the West if you want to live under Sharia law? That was my, that's what I kept saying. And gradually, got caught on to the British government. So I knew I couldn't go back. So I went to the US and I was in New York. And I was like, well, do I never go back home? I could go to Korea, I could live here in the US, get a job, and I was just thinking, I can't do this. It's just not right. Britain is the country that gave me a home, raised me, my family, gave me an education. British people, they loved me.
Wait.
Yeah.
So you said because you were on Sky News in Australia,
Yeah.
and you said that there's 50 other Muslim nations. Why come to the West? Why don't you just go to another Muslim nation if you really love Sharia law?
Yeah.
And just saying that, you knew
Yeah.
that you could not go back to your country.
Yeah, that's no bueno by the
Like you
British
just,
government.
what were
Yeah.
they going to do to you?
Yeah. Well, my British brothers, I grew up without brothers, but now I've got brothers all around the world. And these British brothers were like, every Brit was just like, who was following me, kind of like, you can't come back home. You're going to get arrested for hate speech.
Hate speech.
You can't do this. You've broken 2003 Communications Act. You're not allowed to, hate on another religion. And, I was scared.
Wait a minute. That's not hate, though.
It's the truth, yeah.
If a person wants to be under, that's like saying, I want to live in a Christian nation. And you go, well, there's so many Christian nations. Why would you go to a Muslim nation if you want to live in a Christian nation?
Exactly.
That's not really a dig. That's kind of almost advice.
Yes,
And
inbred logic.
That's considered to be hate speech.
Inbred logic. That's all I can. That's all I can say, man. But so I was in New York and I had this uneasy feeling, and I was like, I love my country. I love my country so damn much. I love my brothers, and they have shown me so much love, and they've always been supportive. So I should be ready to go to jail, at least. And I knew that if it comes to it, I'm willing to die, because these jails are the fastest growing religion in jail, and the military in the UK is Islam, which is terrifying because our scariest institution that harbored the most dangerous men is becoming Islamic in the UK. We might be the first country that has a nuclear weapon. The first Muslim country that has a nuclear weapon will be the UK. So we have to stop it. So minimum, I have to be willing to die for this cause, because you don't pay off 2 billion people around the world, 2.2 billion Muslims, and not expect any repercussions. So I'm there. I announce I'm going to go back to Heathrow Airport. Now, I did perhaps a silly thing. I posted my flight number, and I said, terrorists, come at me. I'm coming back home. This is your chance, you know, to have my head, you know? And I've got a big head, you know? So I posted all my flight details. I booked a flight with Virgin Atlantic. And and I slowly just, like, these airlines didn't allow me to book. And I got a letter which I posted with Virgin Atlantic saying, because of your political views, you're not allowed on our flights.
That's crazy.
They gave some nonsense excuse. They're saying, we think that you're about to record, you know, on our flights, and you're not allowed on. So as a company, you're never allowed to fly with us ever again. It's political persecution. I can give you the letter. I'll post it. It's private companies that come after you. It's the government that come after you. So Turning Point actually picked up on the story. So Turning Point USA sent Jonathan Cho, journalist, to come to New York. And he said, I'll fly with you, brother, to the UK.
Wow.
Because they might deport, they might, you know, arrest you from the airplane for hate speech on the air side. So you won't even be able to go out. So nobody will even be able to see you. So we get on the plane and we fly to London. We fly United. Shout out to United for letting us fly. Great people. And we arrive in London Heathrow, and we get off the plane, and we start seeing all these people just staring at me. All these police. And Jonathan Cho is just like, buddy, this is not looking good. And all the security staff are like, you can't film here. And Jonathan Cho, you know, just typical American, he's just like, I don't care. I'm filming. You can take my job. I'm American. I've got free speech. I've got rights. You know, just like, I'm American. Just like, you know, just the pride that he has. Like love for his country. So he's filming. And as soon as I hand my passport into immigration, like, thank you very much. You're being detained for Schedule 7. You're a suspected terrorist.
What?
And I go, I didn't expect terrorism. I thought just being arrested for hate speech. So my heart sank. And then there's footage that he caught of me being detained and going into the lock room or this secured room where they're going to detain me. So for 6 hours, I'm detained. I'm searched meticulously. I'm talking meticulously. And they take all your stuff away, all your electronics, and they force you to give away all your passwords. And I know that under the Terrorism Act, even if you don't give your passwords, they can force Meta or these companies to give you the passwords. Because they say, the Britain just says to them, if you don't give us your passwords or access to the passwords, because it's a Terrorism Act, well, we'll just not allow you to operate in our country. So Meta has to do it.
Wow.
This is economic bribery. And under duress, I gave the passwords and I said, good luck. Good luck finding anything. You know? I just spoke the truth. And I gave them a massive, 4-hour lecture about Islam. And eventually, one of the police officers, he was like, do you need to go to the toilet? And I say, yeah. Well, he says, I need to escort you. And he's like, I'm a Christian and I'm shocked about, what I've learned. And thank you. Here's your passport. You can be on your way. I'm like, I'm free. I'm free. But they still have all my stuff. So they can arrest me anytime. But Christianity still lives in the UK. There's still hope. There's people fighting it from the inside.
Wow.
There's just real power that's growing inside. Everybody's waking up.
Wow. So you ended up being able to get back here to the US.
Yeah. I got back.
Yeah, now and I don't want you to divulge your plan to the UK, but you do have a plan.
I do have a plan,
Okay.
yeah. So if I do get arrested, I need to fight it in court.
Right.
Once the data comes out that they've done all their analysis, they might catch me on anything. So they have my laptops, my phones, everything. I didn't hide anything. They have everything. So it's like, good luck finding anything. So when they do, they'll put a case together and I'll be arrested. And I'm more than willing to go to jail. Yeah, there's a high likelihood that you can get killed in jail. But if that's the price I have to pay, I'm willing to pay any cost to fight this hideous religion, because it's better to die fighting than live as a slave for the rest of your life. And when freedom of speech is being taken away from the UK, does the UK really have free speech? You've got so many patriots like Tommy Robinson. You've got people being arrested, journalists being arrested all the time now. British people are willing to get arrested. The British people are willing to go to jail, be killed, take on these jihadis, just, dominating London. They're willing to speak out. British people are now standing up and fighting so fiercely. And, I'm your kind of yellow brother. I put my hand into the fight as well, because they have done so much for us. I have to do this. This is my honor to do this. This is the least I can do. It is my duty, my fealty to do this, and that's simply it. Yeah,
you don't even have a bank account.
Yeah, so I live off cash. I sleep on people's sofas. It's not a glamorous life, I have to say.
Yeah, right.
But you won't understand the generosity of, I couldn't comprehend the generosity of people. Some of the most scary looking dudes, like tattoos on their faces, that people who've had really rough lives, and in another life, they'd be gladiators. They'd be so dangerous, people that I was, to be frank, growing up, I'd be terrified to be around. They come up to me and, give me a genuine big hug, and they're like, no, I love you, brother. And that's brotherly love that we need to get back. We need to find our brothers in war again. We need to, veterans, when they talk, they always talk about their fallen brothers and how much they miss them, and genuinely how deep their love was for them. And, I feel that so much now, and it's really emotional, kind of thinking about like how much people are willing to help. They're like, I don't have much, but I'll sleep on the floor and you can have the bed, right? And I'm like, no, you stay on your bed, but thank you. Like, just thank you for like even thinking about this. And they're like, what can I do? Here's some food. Can I buy you a sandwich? A guy called Vem yesterday, he's a guy who puts corrupt judges in jail. He lost everything in life. Yet, him and his company, Media Assassins, they go after corrupt judges. He's just a normal guy who goes after the top elites. Everybody has a power to do something. We have no excuse not to do anything. Every little bit helps. And right now, if we don't fight back now, then forever hold your peace, because your rights will be taken away. Because Muslims, when they're the minority, they complain about minority rights, and they're all about minority rights. But when they're the minority will have zero rights.
Right.
So the time is now.
I agree. Hey, I want my people to help you. We'll set up a little, I don't know if you have a GoFundMe. If you don't have a Give, Send, Go GoFundMe.
I don't. I have like a buy me a coffee link.
We'll buy me a coffee.
People buy me coffees.
We'll find a way to help you.
Thank
all
you.
right, because I brother, we're brothers in this fight.
Oh, thank you.
And until you get it all figured out and get your bank account back, we'll try to find a way to help you out, man. And so I'm asking everybody in the audience. We'll set up a link. We'll put a link below, and you guys can donate at that link. And 100% of whatever come into this link, we'll get it in cash, and we'll hand it to you, brother. So I want you guys to help. So I will put the link below. Y'all support. We'll give the brother some cash to help him while he goes through this thing. And I know you will persevere, man. Good people that's doing it for the right reasons will come out on top. And especially if you have allies here in America that believe in free speech and believe in the things that you do, because it is asinine what's going on in the UK. I've heard of people getting arrested for praying in their head, get arrested, and they asked them, what were you saying in your head about this clinic? Were you praying that this stops, or were you praying? I think that was in the UK.
It was a elderly woman, kind woman, just very innocent and softly praying next to the clinic in the UK, and she got arrested.
Yeah.
It's such a sweet grandma praying for little children's lives, little babies, and that is enough to warrant. What's going on? This is not the United Kingdom anymore.
But we can fight together. Our brothers in America need to stand up for the UK and bring attention to, because I don't know how much we could do like individually, but our government has a responsibility, in my opinion, to start holding the UK accountable for the lack of free speech. I mean, it's ridiculous. I understand if somebody's literally threatening to kill people. You can't freely do that in America. But if somebody's exercising their religion, somebody's just telling the truth, because the difference is that a jihadist can say anything to somebody else.
Yeah.
But you say something about jihadists, you wear a piece of bacon, or you say anything like that, they will put you in jail because they have a level of weaponized empathy or suicidal empathy that's not balanced. Because you could probably talk about white people all day long. You talk about a terrorist, and they'll throw your butt in jail.
Yeah, and we've got Qatari funding pumping money into American politics now. You've got influencers going over to Qatar.
Yeah, I saw that.
You remember Rob Smith? He's a
Yeah.
He's a black influencer, right?
Yeah.
And he's going over to Qatar. It's posing as sunny Qatar. I love Qatar. It's like, listen, mate, Qatar's a home of Muslim Brotherhood. They would throw your off a building. It's like chickens supporting KFC, which is doubly funny because he's black. So he loves fried chicken. I'm sorry about that. We can take that bit out.
No, dude, you're probably one of the funniest people.
You don't have to be based,
Your jokes are quick, dude. I mean, you don't waste no time. Pal. But anyway, man, I really appreciate you coming on the show, dude. I wish I had a better voice, or we could probably talk forever. And I know you got other stuff to do today. So how can people follow you, man? Where can they follow you and support you?
Well, jihadis.
They took all your passwords.
Yeah, jihadis need not follow me at all around. Please stay away. But for brothers and sisters out there, I'm on Instagram at the Scottish Korean or at Leave the Goats Alone. Or X is Korean Scott. I say Leave the Goats Alone because when I started doing this, I thought I should be a brand engineer, right? Because that's what Korea does in media domination. We're brand engineering. Yeah. I thought how to inflict maximum damage on Islam, which is just a brand. So I thought, what are the two things that humanity hates the most? Pedophilia. So I said Prophet Muhammad's a he is. It's stated in hadiths and the Quran. Number two, bestiality. And what do all the American soldiers report back when they go to these, Afghanistan, Iraq, whatever? They're all like, the goats, the poor goats. Yeah. Leave the goats alone. It's just hideous to see.
Yeah.
Those poor goats, man. So those two kind of took off. It went a bit viral. And forever, I'll sleep more comfortably at night knowing that as long as Islam exists, they'll always be known as goat.
That's why they hate you, man. They want to kill you now. But anyway, man, I appreciate you coming on. It's so funny you have the blackest name I've known, Ryan Williams.
I'm proud to be, man. I'm proud to be. I wish I was a bit more black in some places. Then I would stop saying I may be hung like a chipmunk, but I've got no balls to fight Islam. I make fun of all races equally. Come on.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you coming on and losing my voice. God bless you, brother. And whatever you need from us, man, we'll help you with it, all right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming on, Ryan.
Thank you.